Imagine you're drowning. The water is pulling you under. You can't breathe. You can't scream. This happens to people every single year. Most of them never make it back up, but some do. And it's not because of a lifeguard. It's not because of a boat. It's because of an animal, a creature with no reason to care about you. No family bond, no shared blood, nothing to gain. Most people assume animals only protect their own kind, but that's not quite right. In 2004, a group of swimmers off the coast of New Zealand were suddenly surrounded by a great white shark. Then, out of nowhere, a pod of dolphins formed a tight circle around them for 40 minutes, until the shark finally gave up and swam away. Scientists still don't fully agree on why this happens, and the real answer is stranger and closer to home than you think. Stay till the end, because the last part of this story isn't really about animals. It's about you. So what's actually happening inside an animal's brain in that moment? Dolphins are known for something called epimeletic behavior. That's a fancy way of saying helping behavior. Researchers who study dolphin pods, including scientists at the University of Auckland, have tracked this for years. In the wild, dolphins push injured or drowning members of their own pod to the surface so they can breathe. It's automatic. It's wired in. But here's what's fascinating. That same instinct sometimes fires for a struggling human, not because the dolphin thinks you're a dolphin, but because the trigger isn't "who are you?" The trigger is simply something is drowning. The wiring doesn't check your species first. It just responds. But that's only half the story, because dolphins aren't the only ones. In Thailand, there are recorded cases of elephants blocking a flooding river with their own bodies to stop a group of villagers from being swept away. Elephant researcher Joyce Poole has spent decades studying elephant social behavior. She's documented elephants standing guard over injured animals for hours, refusing to leave, even when the injured one wasn't family. Elephants have some of the most complex social brains on the planet. They grieve. They remember faces for decades. And that same emotional depth doesn't seem to switch off just because the one in trouble happens to be human. So what about the animal already living inside your house? Your dog doesn't calculate risk before running toward danger. There are hundreds of documented cases of dogs waking families during house fires, pulling children away from roads, standing between their owner and a threat. And here's the twist. This isn't just loyalty, it's chemistry. When dogs and humans lock eyes, both species release oxytocin, the same hormone a mother releases when she looks at her newborn. Your dog isn't performing a trained trick when it protects you. Its brain is running the exact same bonding software evolution built for parent and child. You didn't just adopt a pet. You accidentally became its family. On a hormonal level, it cannot override. And it might be the strangest part of all comes from the ocean's biggest predator's biggest rival. In 2016, marine biologist Robert Pitman published a study documenting something researchers had noticed for years but never fully explained. Humpback whales, again and again, interrupting orca attacks. Not attacks on other whales, attacks on seals, sea lions, even a sunfish. The humpbacks gained nothing from stepping in. No food, no mate, no safety benefit. They just showed up and physically blocked the orcas until the intended victim escaped. Pitman called it one of the most extreme examples of interspecies altruism ever recorded. So what killed the old assumption that animals only help their own? This study did. So what's the real explanation underneath all of this? Scientists point to something called mirror neurons, brain cells that fire both when an animal acts and when it watches another creature in distress. It's the same mechanism that makes you wince when you see a stranger get hurt. It doesn't ask permission from logic. It doesn't check species. It doesn't check whether helping is convenient. Some researchers believe this is one of the oldest instincts in the animal kingdom, older than language, older than tools, built into brains long before humans and dolphins and elephants ever split apart on the evolutionary tree. Which means when an animal saves a human, it isn't breaking its programming, it's revealing the original programming, the one written before us and them existed at all. And here's where it turns back on you. Because you have this exact same wiring. The same instinct that makes a dolphin circle a drowning stranger is the same instinct that makes a human dive into a river to save someone they've never met. Firefighters running into burning buildings for strangers. Bystanders pulling people from wrecked cars seconds before an explosion, with zero personal benefit. We call it heroism. But underneath, it's the same ancient circuit. The one that doesn't stop to check who deserves saving. You didn't invent empathy. You inherited it. From something far older than civilization. The same thing that made a whale block an orca. The same thing that made a dolphin form a circle in the water. We like to think humans are the only species capable of selfless love. But maybe that instinct never belonged to us alone. Maybe it was never about species at all. Maybe it was only ever about one simple ancient rule, written into every social brain on Earth. Something is suffering, so I move. The dolphins didn't have a choice about that circuit. Neither do you.